Stop tossing those weeds in the trash bag. You're throwing away a free pantry. In the next 12 minutes, I'll show you exactly how 12 of these so-called weeds belong in a jar on your shelf, not a landfill, and how to spot the toxic lookalike hiding next to each one. The US spends billions every single year on weed killers, per the EPA Pesticide Industry Sales Report. But 12 of the plants we keep spraying carry compounds backed by peer-reviewed research for traditional folk use. Here's the mechanism, plain and simple. You dry them, soak them in oil or steep them into a tincture. 3 methods, 1 glass jar. Under $30 for the whole shelf. 11 of them you can put up in a single afternoon. But plant number 1, you've cursed it 100 times. Stay for that one. I'll be straight with you. This is folk history and traditional use, not medical advice. Always verify identification with a local extension office or a certified forager, and start with a small amount to check for personal sensitivity. That said, grandmothers on 3 continents leaned on these plants, rain or shine, long before the supplement aisle existed. Before we touch a single leaf, here are the 3 mistakes that turn free medicine into a trip to the emergency room. Mistake 1. Trusting a single photo. Always match your plant to 2 separate sources. Mistake 2. Harvesting by a busy road or a sprayed lawn, because those leaves drink up whatever's in the soil. Mistake 3. Drying in direct sun or high heat, which cooks off the very compounds you're after. Dodge those 3, and the rest is a walk in the garden. Grandma didn't start with the strongest plants on her shelf. She always started with the 4 gentlest, the kind she'd let any grandkid handle without worry. Number 12. Chickweed, Stellaria media. Call it the itch eraser. Anglo-Saxon herbals and Native American use both applied this topically for skin irritation. 2 traditions, same plant, same purpose. A 2019 study in Molecules found its saponins have topical soothing properties in lab conditions. The lookalike to avoid scarlet pimpernel with tiny orange or red flowers. Chickweed has 5 white petals so deeply notched they look like 10. Dry it at no more than 35 degrees Celsius. Saponins denature above 40, and that's exactly what makes it useful. ASPCA not listed, so it's fine around your pets. Number 11. Common mallow, Malva neglecta, the throat coat. Gasparetto and colleagues, 2012, Journal of Ethnopharmacology. Mucilage polysaccharides coat mucous membranes like a thin protective layer. Here's why the method matters. Don't reach for alcohol on this one. Cold water draws out the mucilage far better. 4 to 8 hours in the fridge, a 1:5 plant-to-water ratio used within 24 hours. No dangerous lookalikes, ASPCA not listed. That's it. Number 10. Lamb's Quarters, Chenopodium album, the Iron Pantry. According to USDA Food Data Central, lamb's quarters contains notable amounts of iron and vitamin K per 100 grams of fresh leaves, though actual levels vary by soil and maturity. Its quercetin content may support anti-inflammatory processes per Core and colleagues' 2018 phytotherapy research. Here's the ID rule, folks. The lookalike is black nightshade, shiny leaves, clusters of small black berries. Lamb's Quarters wears a white powdery coating on the underside of its leaves. That white dust is plain as day, and it won't wash off. ASPCA not listed. Number 9. Ground ivy, Glaucoma hederaceae, the creeper. Bogner and colleagues, 2016, Journal of Ethnopharmacology, Rosmarinic acid with anti-inflammatory properties in lab studies. Cold press the dried leaves, a 1:5 plant to olive oil ratio by weight, 2 weeks at 20 to 25 degrees Celsius. Then into the fridge for up to 6 months. Give it a gentle shake each day. The lookalike is pennyroyal. Intense peppermint smell grows upright. Ground ivy creeps along the ground with rounded, scallop-edged leaves and a milder mint note. Easy to tell apart once you know. Don't panic. But here's an ASPCA toxic warning. 1 of 4. Ground ivy can be harmful to dogs, cats, and horses, according to ASPCA. Keep it off any surface your pet walks on. That's the gentle shelf. Next up, 4 plants Grandma called her grown-up section. Plant 8 has a tart, lemony bite and a caution that concerns your cat's outdoor time. Number 8. Wood sorrel, Oxalis stricta. The lemon patch, that tart taste, oxalic acid. Plus a high vitamin C content per Apu and colleagues 2014 BMC. Complementary and alternative medicine. ASPCA. Toxic warning. 2 of 4. Wood sorrel can be harmful to dogs, cats, and horses, according to ASPCA. Grandma's rule was simple. Dry in small amounts, only use sparingly, and keep it well away from your animals. One quick ID trick. Chew a tiny leaf. If it's sour, it's wood sorrel. Clover has no sourness at all. Number 7. Dandelion, Taraxacum officinale, the liver friend. Schutz and colleagues, 2006, Journal of Ethnopharmacology. Taraxasterol blocked NF-kappa B inflammation pathways, in that study comparable to indomethacin in lab conditions. Here's why Grandma prized the root. She treated it like a spring tune-up. The same way you'd swap out the heavy winter oil in an engine before the busy season. The hollow stem with white sap gives it away every single time. No dangerous lookalike. ASPCA non-toxic. If you've never wildcrafted before, start right here. Dry the leaf and root together, store them in a dark glass jar, and you're good for 1 full year. One afternoon. That's it. We're halfway down the shelf. 6 jars filled, 6 to go. But here's why you can't skip plant number 6. It's the one my grandmother kept in the fridge every single spring, and 3 separate cultures landed on it independently. Quick one before we keep rolling. Drop a comment and tell me which of these first 6 is already growing in your yard right now. Number 6. Cleavers, Gallium aperine, the lymph whisper. Kozuharova and colleagues, 2017, Phytochemistry Reviews. Iridoid glycosides with a long history in European folk medicine for lymphatic support. I'll be direct with you. The human clinical trials aren't there yet. This is traditional folk use, not a treatment claim. But here's the part most people don't think about. 3 completely separate traditions, Anglo-Saxon, Ayurvedic, and Native American, all reached for cleavers for the same purpose, independently. For preservation, fresh is best. Cold water maceration, 1 to 5 fresh plant to cold water. 4 to 8 hours in the fridge, used within 24 hours. Grandma kept a small jar in the refrigerator every spring. Number 5. Purslane, Portulaca oleracea, the omega weed. Simopolis 1992 documented that purslane carries more omega-3 ALA per gram than any other leafy green tested. In terms of omega-3 ALA content, that's the same compound you'd find in fish oil capsules, running about $20 a month. This weed is free. grows rain or shine, and you can eat it fresh from June through August. Lookalike check, prostrate spurge, bleeds a white milky sap when you snap the stem. Purslane has clear sap and thick, succulent leaves. ASPCA, non-toxic. My grandmother, summer of 62, would walk out back, grab a handful of purslane before lunch, then set it next to the dandelion jar she'd filled in July. Summer you eat fresh, she'd say. Winter you open the jar. She said that every summer for 30 years, and I never once saw her buy a supplement. You don't need a greenhouse. You don't need a lick of gardening experience. You just need to stop pulling what Mother Nature already set at your feet. Now at number 4, we've got a small purple flower that lab studies suggest may support the body's response to certain viruses, but only if you pick the right part before Saturday's mowing. Number 4. Self-heal, Prunella vulgaris. Here's the answer. The flower cluster before it fully opens. That's where the rosmarinic acid concentrates. O and colleagues, 2011, Journal of Ethnopharmacology, found rosmarinic acid from this plant showed activity against HSV1 and HSV2 in lab conditions. Pick the clusters, dry them at 35 degrees or below, then cold press into oil 1 to 5 for 2 weeks. No tools needed, no special equipment. ASPCA, not listed. Number 3. Yarrow, Achillea millefolium, the soldier's woundwort. This is the one plant in this entire video where getting the identification wrong is not an option. The deadly lookalike is poison hemlock, smooth purple spotted stem that smells like mice. Yarrow has a hairy stem, feathery fern-like leaves, and the scent of a herb garden. Plain as day once you know it, but do not harvest until you've matched your sample to 2 separate photo sources. Saidnia and colleagues 2011 document achylene's traditional hemostatic properties. ASPCA, toxic warning, 3 of 4. Yarrow can be harmful to dogs, cats, and horses, according to ASPCA. Store it well, up and out of reach. Number 2. Broadleaf plantain, Plantago major, the Anglo-Saxon bandage. Samuelson, 2,000 documents both occubin and allantoin, and allantoin supports fibroblast activity in tissue repair. Here's what makes this the most welcoming plant on the whole list. 4 completely separate traditions: Anglo-Saxon, traditional Chinese medicine, post-contact, Cherokee, and Iroquois, all used plantain for wound care independently. Here's your actionable step. Dry it flat at 35 degrees for 5 to 7 days. Or simply crush a fresh leaf and press it onto a bug bite on the spot. ASPCA, non-toxic. Number 1. Stinging nettle, Urtica dioica. Here's why Grandma called this the most important jar on the shelf. Once you dry or cook it fully, those stinging hairs are typically rendered inactive. The histamine and formic acid break down. What's left is rich in iron, vitamin K, and quercetin. Per Kregel and colleagues, 2018. Harvest with gloves, non-negotiable. Hang the stems upside down in a warm, ventilated spot for 5 to 10 days. Once it's fully dry, the sting is gone, and you can handle it bare-handed. Folk traditions across Europe, Ayurvedic practice, and Native American use all landed on nettle as a spring tonic. A final ASPCA, toxic warning, 4 of 4. Stinging nettle can be harmful to dogs, cats, and horses, according to ASPCA. When raw, dry it or cook it first. always. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds like a lot of steps. Trust me on this. The whole process takes 1 afternoon. You find the plant, confirm the ID against 2 photo sources, harvest, then dry or jar. That's it. Here's the short version, folks. 12 weeds, no planting, under $30 a year, each one with a toxic look-alike, to no one peer-reviewed compound tied to traditional use, and 1 preservation method. The proof is in the pantry. Every sealed jar on this shelf is a sentence in a language my grandmother spoke fluently. A language written in chlorophyll nectar and patience. Until then, happy gardening.